Video game auteurs in the AAA space are kind of a dying breed. A lot of major studios have moved away from relying on one creative superstar to spearhead projects and entire IPs. Games nowadays are just too large, too expensive, and too risky overall to depend on one person to guide every creative decision. This doesn't apply to all auteurs, but they're usually quite eccentric. I mean, look at this guy. Take a wild guess of what kind of games he made. Kojima is one of the few auteurs still kicking in the AAA realm that still has full creative control over his projects and an absolutely nutty budget to back it. Speaking of nutty, he is nutty. Over the years, Kojima has gained a reputation for riding the fine line between avant-garde and just plain unserious. He said some pretty insightful things just before posting a celebrity Zoom date from his roster. There is a sizable audience of people who have never touched a Metal Gear who follow him on social media just to see what random stuff he's about to post. Many of my friends are the same, and I love seeing their reactions. So that got me thinking it'd be fun to share some of Kojima's silliest gaffes over the years. There's probably way too many to list, and I'm inevitably going to forget some. So in case I do, please share them in the comments. Kojima has been active on Twitter for a long time. This is how a lot of fans discovered how eclectic he is. He'll tweet about anything and everything he's into. The best way I can describe his style of posting is teenage girl who uses the internet as her public diary. I'll start with this one, it's pretty fitting. There was a live performance of My Chemical Romance in Kawasaki, Japan in 2006, I think. When I went to the venue, there were almost all teenage girls. I didn't see any old men in my age. But as I was wearing the band t-shirt, people said to me, "I like your t-shirt, Oji-san." A funny visual I have in my head is Kojima in a mosh pit with all the scene kids around him thinking,
"Dude, what the f***? Why are you f***ing here, man? You're so old. Where's your wife? Go home to your family, dude."
The more you see from Kojima, the more you realize he is both spiritually a boomer who loves old Hollywood and a high schooler who loves emo bands and anime. Speaking of teenage girls, God, that's a terrible segue. He openly and regularly crushes on male celebrities. Here's a few notable ones, starting with Robert Pattinson in The Batman. Robert's own presence and acting ability are excellent, but the director has a good way of showing it. The scene in which he pushes a heavy object indoors with his upper body naked. Here, he gives the impression of flexible back muscles like a ballet dancer, not hard muscles from muscle training and protein soaking. Also, the breakfast scene with Alfredo. He looks dazzled and makes him wear sunglasses even though he is indoors. Yeah, it's likely he uses a translator app for his English account, so sometimes there'll be some slight mistranslations in grammar and intent. Here's another one after he met Keanu Reeves. When I met and talked with Keanu, I understood what Nicholas Refn was talking about. Why he attracts not only the audience, but also many people. He is not only attractive as an actor and star, but also as a human being. He makes you want to do things with him. Maybe that's why he got himself scanned into cyberpunk, to be closer to Keanu in a way. Makes you think. Kojima has pretty close relationships with actors who star in his own games. He's a big fan of Mads Mikkelsen in particular. Dear Mads fans, there are many scenes in Death Stranding which I think you'll love. In this trailer, there's Mads covered in blood, Mads tied, smoking Mads, variations with Mads' eyes, Mads with glasses, singing Mads, and Mads in battle dress were new challenges. Yeah, Kojima is not shy about sharing his admiration of men. Hey, good on him. I mean, the guy made Metal Gear. It's not like it wasn't obvious. I mean, he indirectly confirms Snake and Otacon are a thing based on this comparison to Sherlock. Sherlock has moved to the present day. The relationship between Sherlock and Watson in this drama is depicted with a sense of distance. Looks like boy love, that goes one step further than the traditional buddy's buddy. Like Solid and Otacon in MGS, each other is the only partner. So why not marry Watson? As if that wasn't enough, he occasionally retweets fan art of his characters being close buddies with each other.
Today I feel gay.
Kojima is an ally, but he made his preferences clear a long time ago. Just so you know, it may look like rainbow flag t-shirts that I'm wearing today, but I am not a gay. You heard it here, folks. So yeah, needless to say, Kojima is a huge film buff. 70% of my body is made of movies, or so he says. One of my favorite series of tweets are his movie reviews. He'll share a photo of the poster, maybe some merchandise he got from his local theater, normal stuff. These are usually insightful posts, and I'm often surprised by the praise he's given to films that most don't care for. His perspective has even gotten me to rethink some films I didn't personally like. But there are some films that are beyond redemption, so much so that even Kojima has nothing good to say. I want to show you the contrast between a film he loves and ones he does not care for. I just saw Avatar: The Way of Water for the second time in IMAX 3D. This time, I enjoyed the details I missed last time. God is in the details. As a person who was confronted with a 100% digital mass, I am encouraged. Tonight is a blue Christmas. Here's another one. I just love these awkwardly translated tweets with enthusiastic capitalization. It's funny, but man, it's so wholesome. Witness Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. This movie, which easily surpasses Mad and even past Fury, is at its masterpiece. Ever since I saw the first film when I was 16 years old, George Miller has saved me, encouraged me, and changed my way of life countless times. He is my god, and the saga that he tells is my Bible. I found out while researching for this video that Kojima refers to George Miller as his god. Honestly valid. I wonder what he thinks of Happy Feet. Anyways, these are films that are pretty well liked, so what do his negative reviews look like? Saw Captain Marvel. That's it. That's all he says for movies he does not like. You know a movie is fucking cooked when this guy, Mr. Movie Game himself, doesn't fuck with your film. Sometimes saying less is more. With that in mind, I think I found the movie he dislikes the most. He just posted this one day with no context. This was his genuine reaction to the 2022 blockbuster global hit film, Morbius. He actually looks like he has had a loss for words after what he just witnessed. It's too good. I also wanted to share some random posts of his I found amusing. I called this series of tweets, "Middle-aged man shares his honest thoughts with the world." I got a garlic injection to avoid feeling bad, but now I feel bad. I am not gout carrier. I'm scared. I feel like I've been erased from the world. A man who has been erased from the world. Haha. I don't drink iced coffee. I drink hot, even in the middle of summer. I don't wear shorts outdoors except at resorts, but today I went out in shorts. I haven't worn sea pants in 4 years. I like this specific era where he was so proud of himself for wearing shorts more often. Good on him. Today, I went into a store where all the machines were unmanned, self-checkout, and I felt a bit of a sense of human extinction as there was no one in the brightly lit store. Since there's no one at the store, I feel like I'm at a Death Stranding world. So I bring my bag from my shoulder to the front as if it were BB. I often do this. So Kojima has delusional fantasies about living out Death Stranding anytime he's carrying something outside. He's just like me for real. And finally, Egg Benedict looks like boobies when shaking the plate. LOL. Thank you, Kojima. Very cool. Now, I want to get into some of his unhinged or just plain weird quotes related to game development. Let's start with a recent interview where he brought up the 2025 Summer Games Fest. He was talking about some games he saw and how he was disappointed with the state of the industry. He recalls visiting a big-name studio to advise on a new stealth game and being deeply unimpressed by what he saw. He said, "People who are making military games, they probably don't know how to dismantle a gun or shoot a gun. So that's kind of sad. Do you know how to dismantle a gun?" "Yes, because I've been doing this training as well. And I learned so many ways to kill people as well." He doesn't elaborate. Konami is lucky he left the company before he learned all that. My god. There's another funny one I shared in my last video where he talked about a potential sequel to Metal Gear Rising. I think this one showcases that Kojima's ideas are pretty strange even to his own team members. We started off with the concept of having Cyborg Raiden as the main character, but gradually as development proceeded he kind of grew closer and closer to Cyborg Ninja. Honestly, I think that personally, if we're going to make a sequel to Rising, it should feature Frank Jaeger as a main character versus zombies, nanomachine-powered zombies. That's what I'm proposing to Platinum and the producer of the project, but they seem to be ignoring me. I said I'll even write the story for it, but our story writer said, "No, that's okay, don't worry about it." The way he frames this producer's reaction is kind of comedic, but at the same time, it's Kojima, and he could have been totally serious about the zombie idea. Okay, now get this, a few years later in 2016, Kojima had left Konami at that point, and he had founded the current Kojima production studio. So when Metal Gear Survive was announced, Kojima addressed this as a sort of elephant in the room during the Tokyo Game Show that year. He said, "That's nothing to do with me, the Metal Gear games are all about political fiction and espionage. Where do zombies fit in with that?" Alright, he has to be trolling with that comment, come on. Maybe he was just jealous that Konami got to live out his zombie Metal Gear fantasy, who knows. But on the topic of future plans, here's a recent and infamous quote that starts out a little morbid but is quite interesting. "Turning 60 was less of a turning point in my life than my experiences during the pandemic. I fell seriously ill at that time and also had an eye operation. Until then, I didn't think I was old, you know? I just didn't feel my age and I assumed I would be able to create for as long as I live. Of course, I recovered, but now I was thinking, wait, how many years do I have left to make a game or a film? Perhaps I have 10 years? I gave a USB stick with all my ideas on it to my personal assistant, kind of like a will. Perhaps they could continue to make things after I'm gone at Kojima Productions. This is a fear for me. What happens to Kojima Productions after I'm gone? I don't want them to just manage our existing IP." Yeah, so basically Kojima has a One Piece-esque treasure trove of ideas that may only surface after he passes away. That's pretty dark, yet very Kojima at the same time. Imagine there's a .exe file with the full version of PT on that stick. That sounds like it could be a creepypasta. These next few tap into Kojima's creative side in development. Yeah, we'll call it that, creative. This first one comes from a development documentary included with MGS3 Subsistence. Here he speaks on the character of the boss and a scrapped, creative idea. She was a mentor, a lover, and much like a mother to Snake. They had a very complicated connection, but I knew that I would have to emphasize that maternal aspect more than anything. So when designing the boss, I imagined a mother with one breast out feeding her child, a kind of mother-son nuance. So even with her breast exposed, she would enter battle. When I first designed her, in the area around her chest, she had a tattoo of a snake. So when firing a gun, her breast would shake, making the snake look like it was laughing. I can imagine him frantically telling the artists and modelers, "We gotta have the titty out, for symbolic reasons. It's a mother-son nuance, you don't understand." That reminds me, here's a tweet where he was defending some creative decisions behind the design of Quiet from MGSV. "I know there's people concerning about Quiet, but don't worry. I created her character as an antithesis to the women characters. But once you recognize the secret reason for her exposure, you will feel ashamed of your words and deeds." Now, it gets talked about a lot how funny these tweets are in retrospect after playing MGSV and finding out why Quiet is dressed like that. Spoilers, it's really not that deep, Kojima was just horny. I've been ordering to Yoji to make the character more erotic, and he did it well. Recently, I've been making characters this way. The initial target is to make you want to do cosplay or its figurine to sell well. The character I asked Yoji to make it more erotic, this one may not be cosplayable. So basically his reasoning for making the designs more suggestive was that, well, sex sells. But then he alluded that Quiet might not be cosplayable. So he did something to help out the cosplayers. This next part is probably the most Kojima thing I've heard of in a while. He did a whole midnight release booty drop. Dear all cosplayers, we'll be disclosing one of the characters in MGSV, Quiet's CG data, including detail of her back, this Friday midnight, Pacific Standard Time. Quiet CG data this Friday midnight, Pacific Standard Time, at Kojima Productions portal. Please refer to those planning to cosplay for Quiet at Tokyo Game Show. In fact, I was asked by one of the cosplayers. She asked the detail of Quiet as the E3 trailer didn't reveal the detail. Since I cannot reveal confidential info to individual, I decided to official announce. I really love that he was building up to this, like he included the exact time and date and hyped it up with a screenshot of ass. Also, I have to admire his line of thinking here. He probably thought to himself, well, I can't just send this confidential data to just one cosplayer. I should make this public, you know, for the fans. Just making sure those cosplayers are accurately portraying the character. And while we're on the topic of wagons, what the fuck has this video become? While we're just being utter degenerates, we need to address the dumpy in the room.
The clap of my ass cheeks keeps alerting the guards.
Why are Raiden and Solid Snake so caked up? Is Kojima stupid and or a homosexual? Well, Kojima kinda gave a half-assed answer to this. He said it's something kind of like how Lara Croft has a nice butt in the Tomb Raider games. Players would be looking at it during gameplay, so may as well make it look good. But clearly he went the extra mile, so much so to the point where his team was probably starting to make sense of all the rainbow shirts he wears. Here's an excerpt from an interview about this. When Kojima insisted that Snake's behind be more perfectly rounded than Raiden's, many of the development staff didn't understand why. Why Snake's butt has to look better than Raiden's, when Raiden's is the one you're going to be looking at for more than half the game? No one understood. You have to let your readers know that I'm married, with a son, Kojima says, realizing the attention has shifted to a pretty young man in a skin-tight suit. Put it in offset, bold, capital text. Kojima holds his hands up, framing the letters. I love how Kojima goes through all this effort to convince everyone on the team to give Snake a BBL, and he just goes, no homo by the way. This guy, man. And now it's time for my all-time favorite Kojima quote. Every night I see it in my dreams. It's succinct, elegant, a real look at the man behind the madness. Big Corn. Thank you all for diving into the twisted psyche of Kojimbo with me. And now it's time for Viewer mail time, baby! This month's question comes from Gruage, who asks, what member of Kojima's team, past or present, would you want to talk shop with / pick the brains of? Not counting Kojima himself. Good question. Let's start with the folks he used to work with at Konami. A lot of people are unaware that some senior staff on past Metal Gear projects are still working on the series. Shameless plug of a past video of mine that you should check out to learn more about that. But I would say that of the remaining team members at Konami, Yuji Korikato comes top of mind. MGS is well regarded for the complexity of its enemy AI and the nuances in how they conduct searches. For decades, Korikato was partly responsible for how advanced the MGS enemy AI had become, having enemy AI development credits for most of the mainline MGS games. He also had experience leading development, serving as the lead programmer for MGS2 and 4. Nowadays he remains at Konami and serves as a producer for the series, starting from MGR all the way up to Snake Eater Delta. If I were to interview or just get the chance to meet someone from the current MGS team, it would definitely be him. I'm curious as to how he helped balance the enemies and what challenges arose as technology progressed across the series. One other person I'd like to mention who works at KJP is Entei Ryu. She's the lead concept artist at the studio and creates ethereal sculptures and illustrations. I purchased her own art book, and I'm really fascinated by how detailed her 3D art looks. It translates really well into physical sculptures. You can tell how her macabre yet beautiful style influenced some of the new BT designs in DS2. I'm not an artist myself, so I'd have nothing intelligent to ask. I just love to be a fly on the wall and watch the process of how these surreal pieces are created. Thank you, Gruage, for your question, and to my other channel members listed on screen. You can join as a member of the channel for as low as $1 a month, and that will gain you access to my Q&A Discord channel. Links for these and all other social media can be found in the description. Until next time, keep on keeping on.